So we are going to run payroll using QuickBooks Online today. I'm going to show you how to set up your new employees and also how to go through the process of running and reviewing your payroll. I'm going to assume that you have QuickBooks Online but have yet to sign up for a payroll plan. So you'll get to see it from that standpoint. We'll start by looking at the dashboard, and we'll take our attention to the left menu and find the Payroll tab. We'll select it, and if you're just getting started, you will see a button that tells you to get started. If you've already signed up for a payroll plan, then this button will say set up or finish your setup. So it'll be very similar to what we see here. The wording just may be different. So let's get started. Okay. So, and this is why I want you to see this, because if you're just getting started, like you can either choose your plan or you can answer a few questions and have QuickBooks tell you what plan will be best for you. So this will be the difference between someone who has not yet signed up for a payroll plan and someone who has. Like if you've already signed up for a payroll plan, you won't see this. You won't have to go through this process. So the first thing is to choose like what you need. We'll say you need to pay your workers and you need to file payroll taxes. You may not need same-day direct deposit. Next-day direct deposit comes with all the plans, so that may be good enough for you. Time tracking is in the more premium plans. So if you select that, you can rest assured that QuickBooks will recommend one of its premium plans. We'll select automatically run payroll. And then the tax penalty protection is also available with a premium plan. So I just selected 4 options here, and I've allowed QuickBooks to tell me which plan is best for me, and it's their elite plan. So you can do that, or you can come down below and look at all 3 of the plans and choose the option that you think is best for you. Personally, I like for QuickBooks to tell me what I need. So we'll select try now because you get a free trial. And again, you can do this all within your QuickBooks Online account, so it will all mesh and you won't really have to go through any other system. So now it's welcoming us to the Payroll Elite plan, and it's time for us to actually start adding employees. So we'll click Start Onboarding, and it asks if we paid any employees in 2020. It asks that because if you have, you will also need to enter prior payroll information to ensure that QuickBooks has a complete view of the expenses that you paid out, and you want your year-to-date numbers to be correct. I'm going to say no to make this easier, but if you have, definitely click yes and try to get that information ready. You want to it's best to tie it to maybe old pay stubs, pay stub copies, or if you have a pay register that shows all of your payroll expenses, then I would definitely pull that out at this time. So I'm saying no though, and we're going to continue. We're going to click next. And so it wants to know when our next payday is. QuickBooks needs to prepare for that, and it also sends reminders to let us know when payday is coming up. So this will help. I am going to select the 10th, which is in 1 day. So, and then I'll click done. What's the primary work location? Honestly, I'm going to say 111 China Avenue and Little Rock, Arkansas, and 72209. This is completely fictitious. Hopefully it doesn't recognize that. Okay, so we'll click next, and this is a mock email account that I've created. So I'm actually going to create a name. We'll say John Doe, and then it's carried my email address over. And then as far as phone number, we'll just enter a random number here. Of course, you'll enter your number. Then we'll click done so we can move on to the next screen. And so now it's time to get to know your team, right? So we just finished a little bit of the setup and we're ready to start adding our employees. So you can click add employee. Now I do want to say if for some reason you had to stop this process and you don't have this prompt when you get back, you can still do this by going over to the payroll tab on the left-hand menu and going over to employees. Okay, we're already there. And you will still have the option to add a new employee. Okay, so don't feel like don't feel lost. Okay, so let's go back to where we were. So we're going to add an employee, and I'm just going to add one for our purposes today. And we'll just say gingerbread man, okay? Hire date, they definitely need the hire date. I'll say we hired July 1st. And then it asks for their email address. You don't actually have to input this, but it is handy because QuickBooks will send your new employee or your employee, doesn't have to be a new one, a link to access their pay stubs and W-2 information if you opt for that. And then you can also invite them to record their hours with T-sheets. That's only if you have one of the premium plans that actually offers the time tracking. If you have their basic plan, then it will not. So, and then they want to know how often you pay gingerbread, for instance here. How often are we going to pay gingerbread? I will create the new pay schedule, which is basically just telling QuickBooks like how often we're paying. And so that is, we'll say every week. Actually, I'm just going to leave all this the same for simplicity's sake. And so you also have an option to use this in the same schedule for employees you add after gingerbread. So basically it'll default to this and you don't have to customize it at all. So it's meant to save you time, but definitely feel free. You can always go in and change your pay schedule. Like if you're paying some people on a weekly basis and other people on a semi-monthly basis, you have that option. So let's go down to how much do we pay gingerbread. I will say $10 an hour. Then you put in the number of hours per day. And then you put in the number of days per week. I want to call out that there's also an option to add additional pay types. So let's just take a quick look at that. So you can also pay gingerbread, overtime pay, PTO, unpaid time off, sick pay, vacation pay, holiday pay, bonus commission. And so since this is the setup, I wouldn't necessarily input this unless it's going to be something you're going to be paying gingerbread regularly. You can always come back and add overtime pay and time for PTO, like when it actually occurs. So, but this is just to keep you informed. There's also options here regarding coronavirus pay. So if any of your employees are taking leave for either because they're sick or family's sick, then you have the option of selecting that here. So if someone's on paid leave, you can select here so that their paycheck's still processed in your pay runs, but it is charged to a particular account so that you can track your coronavirus leave pay. Then you also have options here, like if you are able to take some payroll tax credits under the CARES Act. I definitely talk to your tax advisor beforehand. But if you're able to take some payroll credits and you know which employees you're able to use, definitely select here. You are going to take a credit against this employee's regular hours and even their overtime. So click done and it'll take you back to the other screen. Okay. So let's continue to deductions. If you have any deductions like healthcare or retirement plans that need to come out of every check, you can add them here. We're not going to at this time, but just to show you, if they have a garnishment, you select the type, and then you select the type of deduction, then you select, like for here, the garnishment type. If you were to withhold like a deduction, then it wants to know the deduction type, insurance, retirement plans, and so forth. So again, we're not going to select that here. Hopefully it doesn't make me now. Okay. So let's go down, and we are going to look at Gingerbread's withholdings. So you'll definitely need to enter withholding amounts for your employee, and that will be the information on their W-4 form. Now, if you have not accessed the W-4 form or pass it out to your employee, you definitely need to do that. That's something that usually happens when you hire someone. And so, but QuickBooks has you covered because they give you an option to print it from the system. So it basically tells you that there's a new W-4 form for the year 2020. And so QuickBooks will try to figure out exactly which one that you need. So let's click Got It. We get the information that we need to print the W-4 form, and you're able to do that here. I just want to show you quickly. See if it pulls up. Okay, so it pulls it up in PDF form. It's 2020 W-4, and you can print it as needed, and as many versions as you need. Now let's click Got It and go to the next page. So it basically shows you all the information you would get on the W-4 form. So it carries over the information you've already input, like the employee's name. You'll need to put in like a social security number and an address. And of course, like a city. And a zip code. Oh, wait. This is handy that it actually knows whether or not the zip code is correct. We're going to put in this is a zip code that I know, so we'll leave that there. Put in their federal filing status, any other deductions or income that they have. And then any dependents. This is a new change with the 2020 form, is that they don't have the number of dependents as in quantity, but it's in dollars. So that's one of the biggest changes that was made. And then there's a portion here regarding the state taxes. So as you see, it pulled down the federal filing status. If you need to change that for whatever reason, you have that option, and then you can put in the allowances, any additional amounts that need to be withheld. And if your employee has a tax exemption, which is not common, you'll have to contact a QuickBooks payroll specialist to set that up. So let's click Done. All right. So we have this employee W-4 information set up. And you'll need to enter birth date in the format that QuickBooks requires. And then also select how you want to pay. Oh, wait. How you want to pay Gingerbread. Okay, so you have the option of doing a direct deposit, doing a direct deposit to two accounts, and doing a direct deposit with a balance as a check, and doing a paper check. We're going to select paper check for now. Definitely, if you're going to do direct deposit, you need their banking information, their routing number, their checking account, and then also a direct deposit authorization form that gives you approval to send money to their bank account. If you do not have a direct deposit authorization form, QuickBooks actually has one for you. So definitely, if you click direct deposit as the payment type, you can also select a direct deposit authorization form, print it out, and then give it to your employee before you actually pay them with direct deposit. Okay, so let's do paper check. So each time you run payroll, QuickBooks will create a paycheck that you can print and you can actually give to your employee yourself. So you'll definitely need a printer, and you'll need some toner, like the Micker toner ink, to make sure that it scans correctly at the bank. And then you'll need paycheck stock. So you have options there. Let's click done and see where we are taken. Okay. So once we've clicked done and you get that first employee added, you basically will continue to follow that same process until all of your employees are added. Okay. So you'll click add employee if you need to add any additional ones. For purposes of this video, we'll just leave Gingerbread Man, who was our first employee. We'll leave that as our only employee. So let's click done and say that we have all of our employees in the system. So it'll also ask you about workers' comp if your state requires it. Most states do. So, and then it'll give you the option to purchase from its partner, Intego. So this, I'm going to actually say, yes, I'm covered, because I don't want any workers' comp options right now. But if you don't have it, I would definitely select it. Select no, I don't have it, to see if QuickBooks has access to any options you may be interested in. Okay. So you can also add your policy to QuickBooks if you want to make the payments automated every time you run payroll. So let's click next, because we're not going to do that for this video, but just know you have that option. So you're ready to pay your team. Let's click pay your team. Okay. We're going to actually run payroll. All right. So one thing I would like to say is if you do not have your tax information input yet, this will be the time to do that. So this particular part of the setup process will require you to have your federal tax ID number, your state tax information, and so you can actually enter that into the system, and QuickBooks can withhold taxes appropriately and pay them on time. So we're not going to do that in this video. We actually have another video and article to help you set up your taxes, but I do want to show you how to run payroll. Okay, so let's run payroll, okay? Once you actually have your taxes set up and if your bank account information entered into the system, you will see a button here in the top right corner. Well, not the very top, but a little bit under the top headers. But it's a green button that says Run Payroll. You will need to be on the Payroll tab in order to be able to see this. But you'll be able to click Run Payroll, and it'll tell you when your next payroll is due. All right, perfect. So what you'll see here is the employees that you've added and their payment methods. Definitely check and review that because you have the option to change it. And then you'll also see the regular hours that they worked. So if you entered a standard 8 hours, 5 days a week schedule, when you set up that employee, QuickBooks will automatically pull that information in and total that to, like as in here, 40 hours a week, and it will calculate the pay. So you don't even have to enter hours. Now, if there are, if the hours have changed, you can update that. So don't feel like you have to leave that total in the system. And then you also have the option here. If you remember, we did select when we set up this employee, we selected that they will receive coronavirus paid leave, in addition to that we will be seeking a tax credit for some of their hours worked. So you have the option here of entering that information, and QuickBooks will calculate it and classify it accordingly. As you see, I added 5 for each. It totaled 50 hours for that week, and then it updated the pay. Okay. You'll also need to add in a bank account name. I'm just going to call ours payroll. Doesn't have anything fancy. Okay. And then you'll be able to preview your payroll. Okay, so you'll see something like this is a summary of your total payroll costs. As you see here, it'll tell you your employees' net pay, which is how much they can expect on their paychecks, your employees' taxes withheld, which will be sent to the tax agencies on their behalf, and then also employer taxes due. This should never say zero. I do not imagine it will ever say zero, but it says zero at this time because we don't have the taxes set up. So it doesn't know what we need to pay, but yours should always reflect an amount. And as you begin to pay your employees, you'll notice a trend in how much you're spending every pay period. So it'll become a lot easier for you to just glance at the summary to see if anything looks off and to make sure it's reasonable. And then you see a total of your payroll cost here. You can still see all of your individual employees, and you have this is your last opportunity to review all of their paycheck information. Okay, so once you're done reviewing, all you have to do is click Submit Payroll. Okay, and so payroll is run and done. It's as simple as that. If you were using a direct deposit, then it would just give you the option to print payroll reports. And so you could still give your employees a pay stub and you could still have information for yourself. Here we are printing a check. Okay, so I can print pay stubs, and then it gives you the option to assign a check number. If this is your first check, you can select one. And so if you want to print a paycheck stub, then you'll select that and it looks something like this. Okay. And you'll print it using your printer and your Micker toner and your paycheck stock. It's important that you don't use regular paper. Paycheck stock is essential to making sure that your employees don't have any trouble at the bank. Okay, so then we'll click Finish Payroll once you're done. And QuickBooks will take you back to the dashboard. Okay, and you're done. So the next time that you want to run payroll, you'll see a Run Payroll option here, like in the shortcut. So you'll be able to access it from the payroll dashboard without having to actually go to the payroll tab and going to employees.